am currently working on an outline specifically based on anything magical world building related in my fantasy novel, because as I've been going through revisions for my second draft, there's just a lot that has been decided through the process of discovery writing or through various note-taking done in Excel or on Scrivener or on my phone or in random places, notepads and post-notes from my house. And there's just a lot of things that have changed over time, things that don't make sense anymore with how the story's going. Plus, I was doing a huge reverse outline. Technically, I was doing it in the form of a spreadsheet, so an Excel document, going through each scene in my book, mainly after the first act. I did second draft revisions for the first act of my book, the first 12 chapters. I still hadn't done enough prep work on structure beforehand. So even though in my head I had a lot of stuff planned for fixing the structure in these like developmental second draft stage edits, I was still kind of going chapter by chapter in a way that wasn't helpful. It was fine for the first act, but I knew going forward it wasn't going to be fine anymore. Anyways, in Excel, I have a row for every scene. I talk about what happens in that scene and what needs to change and what like world building and magical elements are involved, what's explained, what's left unexplained, either purposefully or accidentally or just negligently. That put me at a good stage to then go through that and just start going through all the magic system and world building related elements that need more fleshing out. So I've been working on that outline. Hopefully I will finish this tonight, and then I can create a final outline, a final reverse master outline, combining that Excel sheet information and the stuff in order to make it easier to actually get back to my revisions and go chapter by chapter, because I have a hard time revising and skipping around while I was doing it. And I think that was why I was taking such a long time, because I knew I needed to fix multiple things at once, or at least make plans to fix things. I'm rambling, but the long story short is that I needed to do more prep and planning. My goal is to finish this outline tonight, finish answering these magic system questions, and then my tomorrow is to start transferring everything over from this outline and that spreadsheet into like a master reverse outline. And my goal is to finish that by the end of April, and then to use May to revise the remaining, I want to say 33 chapters, maybe 35 chapters that I have to revise. A lot of them I have to either completely rewrite. Most of them I have to, no, there's some that I think will stay and be pretty close to what they were originally in terms of what's happening. Maybe not white level, but that's something to worry about later. I have multiple notes on scenes and chapters that will benefit from collapsing. My goal is to do 1 chapter, 1.5 chapters a day in May, because there's only 30 days in May, to see if I can actually get through the second draft. I think I'm going to have to do a lot of work to stay motivated and be able to do that. I'll probably have to delete TikTok off my phone and just be very diligent. I'm going to be very tired, but I would like to do it. I finished this first draft in September. I would really like to finish the second draft soon. Fingers crossed that I actually get the rest of these questions done tonight, and maybe even a little bit more than that. Basically, I didn't get done last night what I thought I was going to get done. In the course of wrapping up my magic system outline, I realized that there were more questions that were unanswered that I needed to figure out, and I added a lot of that to the outline to be filled out, except I don't have all the answers. And I was having a hard time coming up with answers, and I got a little burnt out, and so I stopped. And then this morning I was supposed to go to a coffee shop and either finish working on that or start working on kind of compiling all this stuff for my like big finalized reverse outline. But I wasn't able to do that this morning. I just realized I have so much to do to get ready for a weekend trip to go see my in-laws. And I was just like, I'm not gonna be able to leave, go to the coffee shop, get a lot of work done, and come back and get all this stuff done. So here I am in my backyard again, allowing myself 1 hour to work on the scene by scene reverse outline. I'm not usually this level of a planner, but I called for it. So anyways, I'm gonna work on that. And I'm hoping that going through that will help me answer some of these questions that I still need to explain Plus, there's so much that I came up with in my notes for the reverse outline when I was doing it in the spreadsheet form. And who knows? Maybe I already answered this question. In case anyone is interested, this is what I am doing scene by scene right now. With the first scene, I break it down into, first of all, outside of that first scene, what's the main chapter goal? There are 2 scenes in this chapter. When I'm diving into this individual scene, I say what's happening concisely in the A plot. And then I have a little section for any internal threads, anything that kind of, if you read Story Genius, touches the third rail, anything that relates back to the internal story, I mention here. Or if there's a thing, then that's a good sign that there should be something, because all your scenes should be doing double duty. There should be internal and external story and conflicts going on at the same time that you're working to resolve or setting up. So I mentioned 2 areas in that scene that I think, it's the opening scene, so we don't have a ton of interiority going on, but I mentioned 2 things that could connect to the internal storyline, and I have a note here to add basically just like a little bit more to make it even clearer. The next section is beats that are being hit, and so if you're thinking about, say, the cat beats, this would be the opening image or the hook for other beat structures. And Save the Cat, they have questions that they want you to ask of yourself when you're kind of revising or going through these different beats. And it's, you know, is the opening image one scene or interconnected scenes? Is your opening image visual and showing? Is one or more of your hero's flaws evidence? And so I put those questions here within that same scene outline, just so I could be like, yep, or whatever, you know, and I could talk about it. Or I could be like, oh, this needs a little bit more showing, right? The last section is just magic, world building, lore mentioned, and then I say whether it's been directly explained, any casual mentions, or any foreshadowing, allusions, parallels, just to kind of keep track of when things are being introduced, both directly and indirectly. There's more in the spreadsheet, but some of that stuff's not necessary for this document, which is just supposed to help guide me in keeping my motivation and focus as I get these revisions done. I think I last made a video Saturday morning. I was starting compiling things in that master reverse outline document, and it was going pretty quickly. I have these notes. I know what I'm filling out here. I'm just kind of consolidating it. I am glad, again, that I made myself put so much work into these notes and put so much work into the separate magic and world building outline that I did. And I'm happy that I made myself, within this outline, add the Save the Cat beats within each chapter and scene, specifically because I do run into that issue where with a multi-POV story, you're supposed to hit these beats in each POV, and I definitely have that done mostly pretty well. It's there. It'll be fine-tuned later, but it's those beats are addressed with the first POV in those first 2 chapters by that one character. Each of the 3 main characters have inciting incidents. They have hooks and opening images and inciting incidents and turning points. But in terms of answering those specific questions, they're not fully addressed for the other 2 characters who have POVs. And so I'm glad that I put that in the outline, because the first 12 chapters I've kind of revised, and I was like, okay, I want to focus the rest of my revision structurally first and then move on past those next 12. But there's still a good amount that needs to be fixed and redone structurally and beat-wise within these first 12 chapters. And so I really wanted to get all of those 12 out of the way in the outline and then focus on the rest, because that's where I really need to make sure that's clear to me what I'm going to be changing and what I'm going to be doing, / what I need to make sure that I include magical element-wise in each chapter, what I need to include internal story arcs for these characters, just to make sure that it's following those threads that it needs in order for it to be satisfying at the end. There is some of that needs to be focused on in the first 12 chapters too, which is fine. I wanted to put a lot of this energy these last few days of April, so April 21st, oh god. I wanted to put a lot of this energy towards planning the next 35 chapters or so. It's 8:30 p.m., 8:27. I have to get up at 7 a.m. for work. Well, not even 7 a.m. I have to get up at 6:30. I start work at 7 a.m. I'm wondering if I can get, let's see what chapter I'm on. I really want to see if I can get all 12 outlined out. I'm on chapter 5. I don't know if I can get through all of them tonight. Another thing that really got me thinking about these chapters is I just met with my critique group today and they read chapters 3 and 4. The first chapters we see through my second main character's point of view. They've only heard from the other main character. And they just had a lot of great feedback too, which brings up things that I'd already been thinking about as I'm working on this outline and as I was working on my magical outline, my magic and world building elements outline. So I have all these ideas for things that need to be set up correctly. Been a few days and I haven't made a ton of progress on the outline that I was working on, and I need to take a different approach. The reason that I have been going slower than I expected on finishing this outline, again, right now it's April 24th and I wanted to finish all the prep work for revising and rewriting all these chapters in May. I wanted to finish that by May 1st. A lot of this work that I've done to outline changes that I want to make and to keep things kind of straight, all that was after Act 1, because I had revised Act 1, realized I was going to have more issues, and was like, okay, let me focus on where the revision needs to go for this next few chapters. But lately, as I've been starting like compiling my final version of this reverse outline that at least that's what I'm calling it, I've been starting with the first 12 chapters and noting all the things that do technically need to be fixed there, that I have, that have just brought more things into the mix. Anyways, but still doesn't bode well, because I'm like, even if I have all these notes for the rest of the chapters, the fact that I haven't gotten to them, like putting it all together yet, is concerning. But I have done the work for those plans. I have it there. I'm going to proceed with the idea that I will be doing this May 1st. I will be starting to rewrite a chapter a day, at least, if not a little bit more. I'm going to proceed as if I am still going to do that, with the caveat that if this outline isn't finished, if I still have some prep work that's needed, I will be continuing to do that alongside the chapters that I have to rewrite. And I will just be very diligent as I'm rewriting these chapters to make sure and look at my notes, the notes that haven't made it into the final reverse outline, to make sure I'm not missing any foreshadowing that needs to happen, any illusions, any magical or world building explanations that need to happen in these earlier chapters that will help support the flow and the satisfaction that is necessary, or the arcs that are concluding in later chapters that I haven't fully planned out yet. Again, these chapters are technically planned out, but it's messy notes that are in spreadsheet form, and it's easy to get things lost. I want to make sure that as I'm rewriting these chapters, that I am including what is needed structurally, both the world and the magic system and the character arcs. I know that's too much. I know that I probably should focus on world and character arcs separately in this revision process and the rewriting process, but unfortunately, I am really committed to making sure that the magical elements and the world elements and any lore and stuff related to that is extremely tied to the character arcs. And so I think I have to do it together. I have to do it at the same time in order for me to feel fully sane about it, if that makes sense. If you've watched this far, I hope that you enjoyed this mess. I hope to make more videos about this, especially going forward as I transition into May, where I am absolutely, no matter what, going to be rewriting a chapter a day. If not enough prep work was done, and that means that I have to rewrite chapters over again in June, that's fine. I was already planning on doing that. I need to send some of my Act 1 chapters to my critique group anyway, and that does need some work now that I've been going through this reverse outline and realizing that certain beats aren't hit and certain things are missing in terms of world building. So I will also be revising some of Act 1 again in the next few days so that I can send it to them. That's fine. It's okay. That's aside from all this. It doesn't count. Anyways,
I hope you enjoy this. At the very least, maybe if you're going through this, we can be in this together. Revision is hard, rewriting is hard, but that's how we make the stories. That's how we get our stories to reach the vision that we have. Thanks for watching. Thanks for following along. I hope to hear from you in the comments, maybe.